Welcome class. In this video, we're going to talk about graphics in R. This is what we were doing before the break. Okay, now, so I first start, as I have been doing, with the date, and this is 1st of April. (2020). And our topic is graphics in R. Graphics in R. I began this topic before the break, but I'm going to go over it because you did not have the opportunity again for my next class to ask questions. Okay, now, so for graphics, it means you have a data set, right? And then you want to use statistical graphs to depict them, or to get some descriptive statistics concerning such a data set. Now, because we are dealing with data, each data type you have will determine what kind of graph you can use, right? That, as we saw in our basic statistics. So even you have a data can be categorized into two main groups, which is qualitative and quantitative. What do we mean by qualitative? Qualitative is when you have data sets that are in groups, right? So for example, I ask you concerning your gender. So variable gender, you will have you will have female or what? Male, okay? If we talk about color of shirt you are wearing, you may be wearing black, yellow, and so forth. So if we are in class, we can group ourselves into a group of classes, right? A group of the groups where the color of shirt you are wearing determines which group you belong to, okay? Now, so this kind of data, you look at it as, for example, under a scale of measurement, the level of measurements you studied in 111, this will be under what? A nominal scale. However, if we attach order or rankings to such, groupings, then we move towards the ordinal level. So the first data set we'll talk about is qualitative data, right? Qualitative data. So we want to see graphics that we can use for qualitative data. After that, we will talk about quantitative data. And we know quantitative data, they are numeric, right? And if you look at the level of measurement, you are talking about either ratio or an interval scale. Okay. So first of all, qualitative data. Okay. When we have qualitative data, from our basic statistics, or 111 or that 111, we know that we can use, let's say, a pie. The basic ones are pie chart and bar chart. However, there are others that you can explore in now. Okay. Now, so here we are going to take a look at bar chart and pie chart. However, we will do this in detail so that at least you know how to, get some of these basic plots with some properties in there. Okay. So to begin with, we need the data that is qualitative. Okay. So I'm going to use two data sets which are inbuilt in now. Remember, we use the anorexia data. Okay. And then in my other classes, I use insurance data. All these data sets are in R, are inbuilt data, and they are in package mass. Okay, so before I have access to this data set, I need to load my mass into my working environment or into my library. So what do? I go and click on packages and I look for mass. I have user library, but mass is an inbuilt package. So you will have it in RStudio by scrolling down to the system library. You look for mass, there it is. And then we now click on it. And then we have all the functions and data sets in mass at our disposal. Okay, so the first data set we deal with is the anorexia. So first of all, we will look at the health function for anorexia. And because we have loaded mass, you see anorexia is showing, so I just click on it so that I don't have to type anorexia all over. Okay, so this data set is on weight change, right? It's the anorexia data on weight change. So these are people who were unable to eat, so they were put through some weight change program, and the program meant you are being given some treatment. And look at the treatment. It says it is a factor of 3 levels. What are factors? Factors are some data types in R, and these data types are under the nominal or the ordinal scale. So primarily they are qualitative data, right? But R, when we have any data frame, we convert the variable that is a character into what? A factor, which means it will have levels, and the levels are the various groups, just like I talked about concerning gender and so forth. Okay. So there are 3 treatments. You either get control CBT, which is cognitive behavioral treatment, and then FT, family treatment. So for example, we said that the family treatment, maybe they assign your family, they come to you, they say, if you are Kweku, they will say, Kweku, please eat for us, okay? So that because we don't want you to die, and so forth. So as Kweku start eating, he will gain some weight, right? So in this experiment, they are looking at, people gaining weight. Okay, so we'll come back to this data when we are talking about hypothesis testing. So for example, we want to check whether the pre-weight of the people is significantly different from the post-weight. Of course, if you are eating, or if all the 3 treatments are good, then we expect them to gain weight. But as I said, we'll come back to this. Here, our focus is to be able to check which group depict the various groups. So the treatment is what we are interested in. Okay, and to do that, we are going to use bar plot. Okay, so our first plot we look at is bar chart or bar chart or bar plot. Okay, whichever way. Okay, so what are we saying? We say we want to display the treatment, the number of observations in each treatment, okay, in the anorexia data. If we display the anorexia data on our screen, you will see that there are what? 1, 2, 3, up to 10 of them. No, you scroll down, control group, we have 26 of them. Then from 27 onwards is CBT, and then later on from 56 to 72 you have what? You have family treatment. Okay, so this is our data set. We want to get a bar chart of what? The various treatments. So what do? We must now check how do we construct a bar chart in R. Okay. So bar chart, let me just put another comment here. When we are saying we want to construct a bar chart for the variable treat in the anorexia data. So that's our mission, the anorexia data. Okay. And we've seen what anorexia data is. The next thing is function for bar chart. Now, for us to get a bar chart in R, the function to use is called bar plot. And as soon as I start typing, bar plot comes. So we are going to look at the help files for bar plot. So I click on it, run it, and bar plot needs, in simple terms, height. What are the heights? The height will be the frequency. Okay, so please take note of it. If I were to ask you to do this bar plot manually, you're going to get a frequency. In other words, you're going to count how many females were assigned into the control group, how many were assigned to the CBT group, and how many were assigned into the FT group, right? So in now, we must also plot, or we must get those frequencies before we do our bar plot. This is important, otherwise you'll get an error. So what I'm going to do, and please listen to me, I'm going to commit the error, and then we see how to rectify it. Is that okay? All right. So bar plot, if we want to plot, we are going to say height. Okay. And this is a mistake, but as I said, we are committing that mistake. We want to plot the treatment. So I could have done this, and then I'm going to plot this. Why? Because we are interested in the variable treatment. And why did I use the dollar sign? Because anorexia is what? It's a data frame. You can check with the structure of anorexia. If you are in doubt, you can go up here and say structure or class, what have you? Okay, structure of anorexia, class, whatever you want to use, you will be able to know what, or you can check with what is the data.frame anorexia, and that should give us what? True. Okay, so whichever way you want to look at it, you can. So, but you look at my structure by using the structure str, you say it says it's a data frame. Okay, so that's why I'm able to now use what? The dollar sign to assess all the columns or the treatments of anorexia. So let's see. So construct bar plot. We do this and we are going to get an error. And the error says that bar plot height must be a vector or a matrix. Now the question is, but anorexia dollar sign treat is also a vector. So why is it not working? Well, remember I said the height, if you come to the help, you see height, it says a vector, but it is the frequency. Okay, so if I just put in a vector of, made up of character data types in factor, it won't work. So what I need to do, so the above we get, so we obtain an error. We obtain an error as this, as the vector is made up of what? Made up of characters, i.e. they are what? Factor. Okay. So how do we go around this? We need a frequency table. So I'm going to make a comment and say, to overcome this, we construct a frequency table. We construct a frequency table. Okay, and that's what you do under normal circumstances to construct a pattern. You get the frequencies, you can convert them into relative frequency, and then what do? You just construct your bar chart. So it's similar to this. Okay, so let's see. What are we going to do? We are going to say, let's say count. Okay, so we are going to name our frequency table as count. And the function to construct the frequency table is called table. Okay, so all we need is that we pass in that factor data type called treat. So I'll just come here and copy. I'm not going to rewrite this, and then commit an error. So please cultivate the habit of what? Copying once you get what the required thing you want to do. So let's see our table. Let's see our frequency table. You see, it counts them. So CBT has 29. If you go up there on your console, if you scroll up and you check how many we're giving CBT, you see that it's 29. Control 26, and family treatment were 17. So now we have our frequency table. So now we can now go on and construct our bar plot. Our bar plot will now take in their frequency table and then get our data done. Okay, so let's do this again. So now bar plot. I just put in comments as and when. Some will be duplicate, but it's good so that at each level, you know what you are doing. So bar plot, remember we said height is our argument, and I select height. And now our data is what? Count. Okay. Now, if we come to bar plot, there are several other, if you go to the help files, there are several other arguments that we can give to, help us make our bar plot more appealing. But we will start with the basic, and I expect that you explore some of them. As I said in class, it may take us a whole year to talk about plots, just plots in R, because it's so enormous, right? And there's so much. And I remember I gave you some book. I said there's a book called ggplot 2, and the package for that ggplot 2 as well. You can explore about it. That gives you elegant graphics. Okay, so let's see. So the basic thing we need is height. Now, so once I run this bar plot, you see I have my plot showing at the plot session. Okay. Of course, the vector count was named, the frequency table was named. So you see the names down there. Okay, of course, done in alphabetical order. Okay. Now, but this is, this is the basic form. It doesn't have any label for the y-axis or the x-axis. The colors are the same and so forth. So these are things we can play around and do it and get more better graph or elegant graph. So the first thing I will do now is that I will try to provide a label for the x and the y. Okay, what is our x label? Of course, our x label, you use slab, right? And this will be a character, so I must put them in quotation mark. So what are CBT and so forth? These are the treatments received, right, by the patients, okay, or the anorexia patients. Okay. Then what about the y-axis? Y-axis is Y lab, and Y label is what? In this case, the frequency or number of what? Females. Whichever one you want to use, you can. So I may choose number of female, but of course you can say frequency. Okay, maybe let me capitalize each word. Okay, and then I can run this. If I run this back again, please check. You see your Y and X axis have been labeled. Okay, but that's not it. We can do more. Okay, we can, for example, color each bar. And to do so, I'll go back. Remember, we say call means colors, right? And the color, we can either use numbers or we can use the names of the colors we want. In this case, we have 3 bars, so I can choose the first 3 colors, okay, with numbers. Of course, I can also put them in, and that's it. You see, I can put them the color. I can also do the color. Of course, it should be in there, and I can say let's say the first one is black. So what we got with 1 and 3, I could have done so by inputting in this, but that is by using the color names as a vector, but that's too long, right? So the easiest way is to use. And if you want to use this, it means your spelling for black, red, and green must be correct. Other than that, you get an error. So you may choose to use numbers to get your colors or the names of the colors. Okay? So let me comment this out. You can try it. And of course, colors, you can even select randomly from the rainbow colors. And so there's more you can do with this. Okay. So that's a simple bar plot. Okay. And maybe we should take another example. Okay. So let me say, then it means I must talk about example 1. Okay, so let me say example 1, anorexia, right? Anorexia. Okay, let me take another example, and I'm going to say example 2. Example 2. So example 2, we are going to use the data CAS93. Okay, now let's see CAS93. So that's also in mass package. So let's see, it says CAS93 is in the mass package, data from what? 93 cars on sale in the USA, right? So look at it. It has manufacturer, it has model, it has type, sporty, and so forth. So I'm going to, this is also categorical variable. So I'm going to look at type, right? Just a simple example. So bar chart for type of cars. So bar chart for type of cars in CAS93 data. Okay. So what do I do? Of course, first thing, what do you need? You need the frequency. Okay. So frequency table. You must always forget, you must always remember this, otherwise you run into error. Okay. So I can say count. I'm not saying every frequency must be named with count, but I'm saying count the type. Okay. And I'm going to say table, of course, because that is our function for creating the table. Then I call my CAS93. And of course, this is a data frame, so I choose type. Okay. And then I run. Now, if I display only this, I have my frequency table. So I can now what? Plot my bar chart. So I call my bar plot. I say height is equal to what? And in this case, count type. We can label the X. It's what? Type of cars. Type of car. What about the Y label? Well, we can say frequency. Frequency. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Maybe you want to color it. If you want to color it, remember. And now I'm going to take colors from the rainbow. So here I am just randomly taking 6 colors from the rainbow colors. So you see, this is random sampling. So your color you get at home may not be the same as what I'll get. Of course, we could have also used color is equal to 1 to 6, and then we'll select all those colors. So this is mine, okay? Nicely labeled, the type of car. What I have not added is this, that you can also put a title, but I've warned you that do not cultivate the habit of putting title for graphs or pictures on your on the graph, because when you copy this, so for example, this we can copy, okay, and put it in our, let's say you are writing a report for me, you have to copy this, right? You must copy this into your Word. So let me go to Word. Now, if you are doing this, of course, you are going to say figure something. So there's no need to put a title over here at the top, and then now you tell me that this is what? This is the, it is going to be repetition. So I just want to demonstrate to you why it is not appropriate to give a title. But of course, if you want to give a title, it should be main, and then you put in the title. But let me talk about it before. Okay, it's still running. Okay, so let me get a blank sheet. Okay, so if I'm writing any report and I put in this, so I have copied it from it's in my clipboard. I put it here. So assuming this is my report, okay, of course I'm going to say figure maybe 1.1, okay, and then I'll say a simple bar chart. Showing the type of graph. So this is like a title, okay, for this graph. So there's no need for me to get a title here at all. Other than that, I do duplication. So that's what I'm talking about. And please take note of this quickly. But it doesn't mean that we can put a title if we want to, and that means use main is equal to, and then let's say maybe you say a simple bar chart, something like that. And if I rerun this, I'll get a title. But as I said, please do not be putting titles over here. All right. So that's about it for simple bar chart. Okay. And I hope everything is okay now with anybody. If it is not okay, please go back, pause the video, go back and make sure you have all of this. And I'm going to paste this codes on Sakai as well, so you can copy and paste. But do not learn like that. You must type so that you also make the mistakes and you're able to correct it. Okay, so please type on your own. Don't copy mine and paste and run and think that you know what to do it. Even if you are in class, you must still write or type on your own. Other than that, you have problems later on. Okay, now what I want to talk about now are a bit complex bar graphs, and we call them stacked and group bar charts. So what are these charts? These charts arise when you have, let's say, two categorical variables, okay, which intersects. And I remember, or I know that each of you have done star 111. So you remember a contingency table. Contingency table is constructed using two categorical variables. Okay, so maybe I may be interested in gender and religion. Okay, so gender, I have two categories, male, female. Religion, I may have Christian, Muslims, Buddhists, maybe other religion. Okay, so I can plot all religion as one bar. Then I'm going to divide that bar into two, and those two will signify the gender, so male and female. So each religion will have the same bar, but the bar will be divided into two. Of course, the division is based on the frequency of female and a male. So Muslim, you have male and female, Christian, male and female, Buddhist, male and female, other religion, male and female, and so forth. Now, such bars, when we have one bar representing such group, we say they are stacked. Alternatively, we can plot them and then we put the same group together. So you have a side-by-side bar chart. That is what we are referring to as group bar chart. So that is what we want to do. And very soon you will see what this is. Okay. So first of all, we will start with the first one, which is what? Stacked bar chart. I think I've used A earlier. So stack bar chart. Now, to do this, we need a table, but that table must be a contingency table. So we are going to still use our data on cars 93. So look at it. We have, if you go back here, there's what? Drivetrain and airbags. Airbags is a standard. It has a factor, none, driver only, and driver and passengers. Okay, so where are the airbags in the car? Maybe some cars do not have in the olden days, the cars they don't have airbags, but now some will be driver only, others driver and passenger, all of them will have airbag. Then the drivetrain is a rear wheel, front wheel, or 4WD. So these are two factors, and we want to now create a stack bar chart for them. Okay. So what do we need? First of all, we will create what? A contingency table. Contingency. Or we call the other name for it is what? Crosstabs. Contingency or crosstabs. Contingency table or crosstabs. Okay. Now, and I'm going to call them table cars. Of course, I've done this earlier, so you see them, but I'm going to override it. Sorry. Okay, so I still use table. Okay, but now I'll call my cars 93. Okay, and my cars 93, I'm going to say drivetrain or airbags first. Okay, so I want to use airbags first. And then I also call cars 93. And then I need drivetrain. Okay. So I do this. And now if I call my table cars, you see this is what? A contingency table. How many passengers? So how many airbags? How many cars do you have? Driver and passenger airbags in 4WD? None. But for front wheel, you have what? 11. And then for rear, you have what? 5 and so forth. So that's what we mean by contingency table. Now, we can now construct our bar plot. Now, this bar plot is, remember that in its help, it takes either a vector or a matrix. When it takes a matrix, it's going to plot what? The columns. Columns are always the variables, right? So we are going to say our height, and I copy table cars. And remember, I copy. I don't type again because I've already. Okay. Then now we know X lab. So our S label will be let's do this first, and then we now go back and do each of these. So we need just height. Let's do this. Okay. So you see, this is what we call the stack bar graph. We are going to, put in more arguments to make it nice. Okay. So you see what is showing here is the drivetrain. The S-axis is the drivetrain. Okay. And then within each drivetrain, you have airbags. So this one and so forth. So I'm going to do the labeling. I'll say S-lab, I'm going to say it is what? Drivetrain. Okay. What about my Y bar? Sorry, my Y label. My Y lab is going to be what? Either the frequency or the number of cars. Okay. Number of cars. Okay. Now, I may give them color. And the tricky part here is this. Now, the color is now going to be distributed among the columns, the three categories in the columns. So I must give 3 colors. And that is up to you. You can select from the rainbow or you can do 1 to 3. Maybe I'll do 2 to 3, 2 to 4 rather. So I have 2 color, 3 color, 4, and so forth. So let's see what happens. There we go. Okay. Now, okay. So, the color, you can do any color you want. It's up to you. But usually I prefer that we use the first 3 colors, but you can choose any of them. Okay, so I go back and I do mine. But graph is nicely labeled, drivetrain is there. What is left it is. The question is, what is green? So assuming you show this in your report, what do you mean by the green color? What do you mean by red color? What do you mean by black color? I wouldn't know. Okay, so what you need to do is to provide what we call the legend. Okay. Now, how do you add the legend? So legend, adding legend. So I'm going to say adding legend. Okay. I can add a legend within my bar plot. Okay, so I'm going to tell you that here, remember our colors are, if we go back to are the row names. So I'm going to say my legend is my row names, right? Legend. Okay, I must delete this and say legend is just row names. So row names of what? My data, which is my table card. So I can do that and run. And there we have it. Okay. So green is for none. That is no airbag. Red is for what is it? Cars with what? Driver only airbag. And then black is what? Driver and passenger side. Okay. However, there is still another problem. What do you mean by none and what do you mean by driver only? So you can make your graph more interactive. And that's why we are going step by step. Okay, and then you can explore more to do this. Okay. So I'll say adding legend title. Okay. Now, you see, if I want this to be more informative, I must add a title to my legend so that you know that this title is let's say, the position of the airbags in the car, right? So I want to do that. Now, if you want to do such a thing, then you can't do it within the bar plot. What you need to do is to go outside the bar plot, right? So if I'm doing this, I'll go and copy the case where I do not have a legend, and then I'm going to put my legend on my own, okay, using the function legend. So I have this, and now I want to input a legend. Now, to do that, we use the function legend. And please, you can check the help files for legend. Okay, I'm going to use it, but please remember to pause and look at the help files for legend like this. Look at it. So it is a graphic package. Legend needs X and Y. You need a legend, you need fill, and so forth. So I'm going to use this, but please scroll down and look at the help files concerning legend. Okay. So legend, instead of X and Y, remember our plot, we have it at the top right. If you go back to this one, we are top right. I can do it top left and so forth. So also legend allows you to state top left or top right, or bottom left or bottom right, depending on where you want. So I'll choose a top right. Okay. Then I need my legend. Of course, I have done my legend already, so I can go here and copy at the top. And I'll say my legend is equal to the row names of our cars. Now here, I need an argument called fill, and fill is the color to fill. So I want you to fill them the same colors, which is 1 to 3. Otherwise, it will not correspond to the row names. Okay. And then lastly, I want a title for my legend. So here I say title, and then the title I want to give is what? Position of airbag. And with this, I can now do this. And you see, now my what? My legend is what? Is named. So when you give a graph like this and you copy, it is much more informative. The user will know, or the reader will just know that, okay, so I have drivetrain, these are the frequencies, right? And if you go back to the data, if you scroll back here and you look at our contingency table, look at 4WD, the frequency is 10, right? Or for the column total is 10. This one 2 over 60, this one is 16, and you see it over there. And you have various airbags nicely done. So this is what we our talk on what bar graph. Okay, so for your assignment on this, sorry, so assignment, oh, why am I assignment? Okay, so your assignment on this is that create bar charts to depict the man's train, man's trans dot available, and a stack bar graph for the type and man's strand, or this man's strand. Let this come down. And man's strand available variables in CAS 93. Okay, so I want you to do this. Okay, so if you look at the help files for the CAS 93, you have this variable man's strand. For car type, we have already done it. So what you need is to construct a contingency table, and then you do this. Okay, so I now go to B, and you repeat this same experiment for the component bar chart. Okay, so this, oh sorry, the group bar chart. So group bar chart, group. So in some book you see group, or you see side by side, side by side bar chart, bar chart. Okay, so let's see. Now it's simple, and I'm not going to waste time on this, so I can go back here and copy this. So we're going to do the same thing. And for the group one, there is an argument called beside. Now, by default, if you go to the help files for plot, not legend, so we scroll back again. Not this one, bar plot. See, there is an argument beside, right? And by default, it is false, right? So if it is false, you get that stack, the previous bar graph we get. But if it is true, then you get the group or the side-by-side bar chart. So let's see how this will turn out to be. Okay, so you see this one, will put them together in a group, okay, and then name them. Okay, so we can go back and take our legend to make it more interactive. let's copy our legend. And now, because we want variety, we want to change the position. I'm going to say top left, right? So that it will be written on the top left side of the class. So let's there. So this is what we mean by group, or what? A side-by-side bar graph. Okay. So as I said, repeat the experiment or the assignment, or maybe let me just copy all of them and put them at the bottom of this and say assignment. Okay. And you create bar charts to the big merge tree and then stack bar charts and group. So stack and group bar charts. Stack and group bar charts for the type and mention variable. So please repeat this for this assignment.